Hi guys, welcome back to our channel today. If you do like this video, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button down below, subscribe so you know the next time we upload a video. Also, you can go over and check us out over on Patreon, where we will be uploading exclusive content. You'll also get to see our videos released early over there, at least a day or two earlier than they're posted up on YouTube. You can also get lots of cool stuff over on there. Also, you can go check us out on Facebook and Instagram, where we're always posting fun pictures of all of our animals. So for today, we are going to be talking about my top 10 favorite reptile YouTubers. I know there's definitely going to be some controversy over at least probably a couple of these YouTubers, but let's get into it. So number 10 is going to be Underground Reptiles. They were definitely one of the first reptile channels that I ever started watching. They're actually located down in South Florida. When I lived down there and would breed, and I vended at some reptile shows, I actually got a chance to meet a couple of guys from Underground Reptiles and actually go over to their store down in Deerfield Beach. Really cool store, by the way. If you ever get a chance to get down there, if you're in that area, I would definitely recommend going and checking out Underground Reptiles in Deerfield Beach. But they started out years and years ago with a YouTube show called 20 Minutes Underground, which is was just a really cool, really makes it my first dive into reptile YouTubers in general. And then after couple of years, they stopped after a little while. Not really sure why. They did just start back up doing fairly regular videos in the last year or two. I don't get over there and watch them as often, but I am holding Teggy here, one of our animals and hopefully one of our future breeders, as a female red Argentine Tegu, because Underground Reptiles has amazing Tegu breeding projects. They have world's first Tegus down there all the time. They have the ice Tegus, they have the purple Tegus, they have albinos, they have some just gorgeous, amazing Tegus. So let's go get her put away, and I'll take out our next animal when we get into YouTuber number 9. All right. Next on our list, coming in at number 9, which is one reason I'm holding this amazing prehistoric creature right here, who is our alligator snapping turtle. He's that nice big jaw. She's actually, or he or she's actually showing you a nice worm lure they've got in there right now. You can see that little red, looks like a worm inside their mouth. They'll actually wiggle that around when they're underwater and use it as a lure. And then when a fish or a crustacean or something wanders its way into its mouth to take a bite of that worm, they'll snap it shut and get themselves a meal. So coming in at number 9 is going to be Greg's Turtle Haven. This is one of the newer YouTube channels I have started following in probably the past year. I first saw this guy on Kamp Kenan, who will definitely be coming up later in this list, and Ed the Pond Professor with Aquascape. They made him an amazing turtle pond in his backyard. One reason that he comes in my top 10 list is that I started my reptile passion with turtles. My very first pet reptiles were a red-eared slider named Lulu and a false map turtle named Frake. So they are really what got me into just loving turtles in general. He just has a wonderful collection of some amazing turtles, including some of these guys right here, the alligator snapping turtles, as well as some common snapping turtles. So definitely, if you are a turtle person, go ahead and check him out. He is very, very knowledgeable about all of the animals that he talks about. He has turtles and tortoises. So yeah, go check him out. and we will be back with number 8. All right, coming in at the number 8 spot for me is going to be Jay Brewer over at Prehistoric Pets and the Reptile Zoo. Watching him at the Reptile Zoo and Prehistoric Pets definitely started my passion for wanting to open my own reptile zoo and exotic pet store. I love the enclosures he has for his animals. He has some amazing, huge, really nicely made enclosures that he has all of his animals in. Honestly, they're probably just as good, if not better, than any enclosures you'll see at any major zoos across the country. I started out watching him. He still does, cutting open reticulated python eggs. He's absolutely, if you ever watched him, you know him. He is a huge reticulated python breeder. I used to love watching the babies that come out of those snakes. Are massive. I mean, you're talking about reticulated python that would lay between 40 to 70 eggs at a time. Huge eggs, almost the size of a softball. Really fun watching those videos. Also, his Asian water monitors that he would breed. He has. I've always wanted to. Hopefully, we'll have water monitors and a bunch of other large monitors at my zoo when we open up eventually. So I would really love watching that. Also, this is one reason I'm holding this girl right here. This is, and she's hiding, but this is a female red-eared slider. Probably one of the most common, actually I would dare say it is the most common turtle in the pet trade. They are invasive to every single continent in the world except for Antarctica. They are extremely versatile and adaptive. Like I said, they live on every continent, 6 out of 7 continents of the world. So clearly they can adapt to survive pretty much anywhere. But natively, they are from the southern United States. And this girl right here, I actually found, she was a wild caught from when I lived in Florida for a few years. I actually saw there's a female laying eggs, and I dug up those eggs and put them in an incubator and hatched them out. 18 babies. And this girl is one of those babies. So I have had her since she hatched out, since before she was born, since she was still in an egg. And she is going on, oh wow, she's probably about 10 years old right now. She is definitely a female. You can definitely tell by this age. If you can see these short claws right here, and if you look at her tail on the bottom, see if we can get her to pull it out. There's a very, very tiny tail. Short tails and short claws, especially when you're talking with sliders, cooters, a lot of your pond turtles, is a dead giveaway for being a female. Your males are going to have much, much larger claws and a bigger and longer tail. So we'll go with number 7 on my list is going to be Dave Kaufman of Reptile Adventures. He also has a second channel called Animal Adventures, where obviously he goes around and does adventures, not just reptiles, but with many other various mammals, birds, you have it. I love seeing all of his adventures around the world, going to see how all of these animals live in the wild. It's great to see how these animals are living in the wild so that we know how to better and more naturally keep them at home. Especially with some of these animals that may be harder to breed, really don't know why they're not breeding in captivity. We can see what is different about their native habitat to how we are keeping them in captivity. I always like to keep all of my animals as naturally as possible with all their enclosure setups. I just feel like when you have an animal that is in a enclosure that mimics their natural environment, their native environment, as closely as possible, that is when you'll get to see the most naturalistic behaviors of that animal. He also goes around and sees a bunch of really cool reptile zoos, reptile collections, and exotic pet stores, which is always fun to see. As I am planning on building my own exotic pet store and reptile zoo, it's great to see how other people are doing it. So coming in spot number 6 is going to be the Bio Dude down in Houston, Texas, Josh Halter. I always love watching his bioactive enclosure builds. He does some really cool bioactives for just about every species that you can keep out there. Just showing you that no matter what species of reptile you are keeping, you can always go bioactive, trying to keep them in the most natural habitat possible. Like this crested gecko that we have right here. This one along with its mate. This is a male. I have a female in there too. These are one of my first bioactive enclosures that I ever set up here. I've had these guys for a couple of years now. I'm hoping to did get some eggs from them earlier this year. None of them ended up being fertile. Hopefully next year I will be able to get some more fertile eggs out of this pair. I have bred crested geckos in the past. Like I say, baby crested geckos are probably one of the cutest baby reptiles that are out there. And coming in number 5, we have Clint's Reptiles. Also a channel that I just discovered in the last year or two. He has great videos on care of numerous different reptiles. He also does care videos on invertebrates and even a couple of mammals I've seen on there. He actually has a PhD in biology, so I'd say he knows what he's talking about. He's also just recently opened a mini reptile zoo. I believe he calls it Clint's Reptile Room. Don't hold me to that, but I believe that's what it's called. So definitely go over and check out his channel too. He does some great stuff over there. And coming in at number 4, another enclosure designer who does a lot of bioactive enclosures is Tanner Serpa from Serpa Designs. Probably some of the best enclosure builds I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, he builds enclosures from scratch. He uses plywood, glass. He'll disassemble a glass terrarium or glass fish tank, essentially. Cut the glass, silicone it all back together how he wants it, and build his enclosure. A lot of his enclosures do include water features, which I always try to include a water feature in every build that I make. I love water features, waterfalls, ponds, streams, whatever you have. These crested geckos of mine actually do have a small pond and waterfall in their enclosure too. And he also does, when he does his enclosure builds, he does step-by-step showing you every step along the way so that you can actually build all of these enclosures that he builds. You can build all of them yourself at home too. And we will be right back with number 3. Alright, so coming in at number 3 is probably going to be one of my most controversial YouTubers. He's been one of my favorites for years. I mean, I've probably been watching him for 10 years, pretty close to it at least. And he's gotten a lot of hate over the years, some warranted. He definitely did some stuff that even he regrets back in the day, but he is one of the people that I look up most to in the hobby. I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and I'm probably going to get some hate about this, but here it goes. It is Brian Barczyk from the Reptarium and BHB Reptiles. Like I said, he is definitely, obviously, he made my number 3, so he's one of my favorite reptile YouTubers out there. I watch his daily vlog every day. I also love watching his podcast channels, checking in both with his family on Wednesdays and with Snake Talk on Saturday nights. So Brian, if you ever see this for some reason, I don't know why you would ever would, but get a hold of me and I would love to come and be on your podcast. So all of my viewers out there, if anyone knows him, let him know, and I would love to come over and be a guest on his podcast someday. It's definitely a dream of mine. One of my favorite things that he's done recently would be the Reptarium. It's amazing, awesome little zoo, I say. It is getting bigger and bigger every single year. I believe they've been open for 3 years now. They're currently in version 2.0 of the Reptarium. They are working towards 3 and 4.0 right now, which is going to be moving over into the BHB side of his building and building some more zoo enclosures. And they're also going to be adding a second floor that was going to be an aquarium. He just announced this today, actually. I was watching his vlog this morning, and he announced that, not an official announcement, but he hinted towards the possibility in the future, several years from now, the building next to him, his neighbor mentioned to him that he is planning on selling it soon, which could possibly be a 5.0 in the next 3 to 4 years. We'll see. They're still working at 2 and 3.0 right now. But I am planning on making a trip out there. I'm hoping next year, unless I hear from you sooner, Brian, I'll come out anytime you want to be on your podcast. But I do plan on making a trip out to the Reptarium at least sometime next year. And you guys will all come along and see that with me. I'll definitely be vlogging while I'm out there, shooting videos the whole time I'm out there. Maybe be able to get some behind the scenes stuff. We'll see. With that said, before we leave, you've been checking out this girl right here. This is actually one of my Rankin's dragons. I hatched her out about 3 years ago. She just produced for me for the first time this year. She has have one baby that unfortunately one baby made it out of her clutch. She hid her clutch on me, and I didn't find that most of the eggs ended up going bad, but one of them did fantastic, and it is growing, and it is one of the most beautiful dragons that I have ever hatched out, and I've hatched out several dozen of them at this point. And you will definitely be seeing that animal on a future vlog if you haven't already seen it, which I don't know. So let's get to number 2. So, coming in at number 2, which is one reason why I have Bubba, my sulcata tortoise, out here. This person used to keep a lot more sulcatas than they do. I believe at one point they had upwards of 20 or 30 sulcatas. He has definitely gotten to a much more smaller, more manageable group, but he does still keep quite a few sulcata tortoises. And he also keeps them in huge outdoor enclosures, outdoor pens, where they can be, where they can live a lot more natural of a life. This guy, unfortunately, does have to live inside for about 30 to 40% or more of the year. He only gets to live outside during the warmer summer months. He goes outside into his outdoor pen mid to late spring, and he just came back inside probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He came back inside for good. Started getting chilly at nights, down into the 40s and 50s, and unfortunately during the days now it only gets up into the 50s or 60s. But if any of you watch reptile YouTubers out there, which I assume most of you do since you're watching this, you all know Kenan. Definitely an amazing reptile person in general, not just YouTuber. but he does a lot of good work with bush wildlife and rescuing nuisance animals, nuisance reptiles, gators. So he actually lives in South Florida, which means he can have some huge outdoor enclosures. All of his animals he keeps outdoors, which would be nice to do, which he can do living in South Florida. Seeing all of his outdoor enclosures, huge pens of outdoor enclosures, has definitely inspired me to do the same when I open our zoo, the Reptile Haven Wildlife Center, coming soon. But as I live in upstate New York, which is a slightly different climate than southern Florida, I have to replicate those massive enclosures indoors, which I'm going to do. Bubba will eventually get a nice, large indoor enclosure where he will have plenty of room to roam around wherever he wants to. Maybe even get him a couple of girlfriends. He does have one smaller friend right now who is probably only about a quarter of the size he is right now. Out of all of my reptiles, Bubba right here, I have definitely had the longest. I've had this animal right here for probably going on 15 years right now, which is just a fraction of his lifespan. He is definitely an animal that is going to be passed down onto my daughter, who you've seen in this vlog, Brenna. He definitely has at least another, I'd say, 50 to 70 years in him. Kenan also has one of my dream animals, which are Aldabra and Galapagos tortoises, which I very much hope to include in my zoo someday. They're not easy to come by and not easy to care for in upstate New York, as these tortoises can get upwards of 500 to 700 pounds. That is a massive animal which needs a massive enclosure. Lastly, I gotta say I love his aquascape feature. He has an aquascape rec pond, which is gorgeous. You definitely have to go check him out over at Camp Kenan and watch the build for his aquascape rec pond. One of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I hope to have my own rec pond built by Aquascape in the future at the zoo. I definitely want them to build me a elaborate indoor turtle pond, and I would like to have them build me a nice outdoor rec pond as well, because one thing I've always wanted to do is go swimming with my turtles and all of my other aquatic reptiles. So I apologize, you've probably heard this little one in the background for most of the video. She has been patient for the most part, but she is only 1 year old. This is my gorgeous little daughter, Kita. As you can see, she loves Bubba just as much as everyone in this house does. He is definitely a family favorite of our reptiles that we keep here. Future little zookeeper right here over at the Reptile Haven Wildlife Center. So she is going to join me for my #1 favorite reptile YouTuber out there. Is going to be Ed and Emily of Snake Discovery. They are an amazing couple. I love everything they've done. I started watching these guys a little over a year and a half ago when they first bought their new facility. So I've watched the entire evolution from purchasing the facility, how the state it was in when they purchased it, to what it looks like now is out of this world. You definitely have to go over and check the evolution from purchasing their facility to now. Just this past month, I believe it was about a month ago, they officially opened up the Snake Discovery Zoo, and they have had their retail portion of their building open for, I believe they said, about 5 months now. Earlier this summer they opened up, late spring, early summer, they opened up their retail facility. And what these two have done is exactly what I have dreamed about doing for probably the last 10 years. And I hope I am getting closer to making that dream come a reality and opening up my own zoo and exotic pet store. So next year when I hopefully go out to visit the Reptarium and Brian Barczyk out there, Ed and Emily's Snake Discovery is about 10 hours on the other side of them. So while I'm out in that direction, alright sweetie, I know, we're almost done. So while I'm out in that direction visiting the Reptarium, I would like to be able to go out and visit Snake Discovery and go check out their zoo, go meet Ed and Emily, maybe do a little collaboration. Again, if for some reason Ed and Emily, or anybody that knows Ed and Emily, are seeing this, message me on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, email me, something. I would love to get together with you guys. And if I do make it out there, I will definitely be filming while I'm out there, even if I don't get to do a collaboration with Ed and Emily. I will definitely at least be vlogging and filming the entire trip out there to see Snake Discovery. Lastly, I would just like to throw a last couple of channels out there in the honorable mentions category. They didn't quite make the top 10, but they were definitely in the running when I was making this top 10 list, which are Reptiliatus, which I just discovered actually watching Snake Discovery. He was at their Snake Discovery Enclosure build-off this past summer, and I've watched a couple of things of his over on his channel. He is really good. Also, I saw Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles over there. Another great guy, Adam, I believe his name is. I've watched several of his videos over on his channel. Another great one to go over and check out if you're looking for something. Chandler's Wildlife. Even though I don't watch Chandler's Wildlife, his content all that much. He is a huge venomous reptile keeper. He keeps, I don't even know how many venomous snakes he keeps, and is also in the process of building a reptile zoo of types down in where he lives in South Florida. I first saw him on collaborations with both Kenan Harkin over at Kamp Kenan, and he has done one with Brian Barczyk this past summer. Great guy to go watch. If you like venomous stuff, go check him out, please. My last two here are not necessarily reptile related channels, but just animal and nature channels in general. Don't touch his face. They are Ed, the pond professor over at Aquascape. Like I mentioned before, he has built aquascape ponds for several of these YouTubers, including Kamp Kenan. He did one over at the Reptile Zoo and Prehistoric Pets for Jay Brewer. They have done an enclosed pond for Greg's Turtle Haven. Just a great place to go over and watch if you are interested in ponds at all, which I love water features, and like I said, I try to incorporate a water feature into every one of my enclosures. So I love watching their stuff, and I take the ideas from their waterfalls and ponds and streams that they make on the large scale, and I try to take those and shrink them down to fit it into the size of an enclosure. And lastly is going to be Joey from the King of DIY. If I have any fish people watching this, definitely go check him out. You probably already know who he is. One of the largest DIY fish aquarium YouTubers out there. He actually just is in the process of opening up his own aquarium galley. He is from Canada. I would love to go up and check it out at some point in time. But he just has some fantastic aquarium and indoor pond builds. This guy is amazing what he does, teaching you how to make, making aquariums, huge, hundreds of gallons aquariums out of plywood that hold water, which is insane to me. But a 2,000-gallon indoor pond, which is crazy. And teaching you how to make your own filters, which I have made and I will be showing you guys in a future video. I made my own canister filter for my turtle tank, and ever since I've done that, I have never had my turtle tank, my small turtle pond with 7 turtles in it, be this clear. It is never dirty anymore. The water is always crystal clear. No matter, if I miss a water change every now and then, the water never gets cloudy with this filter that I made, learning from watching his channel and watching his builds. So that is going to wrap it up for us here today. I just want to thank you all again for watching this video. If you did like it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button down below. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell so that you know the next time we upload a video. You're gonna eat me now. Also, don't forget to go check us over on Patreon for exclusive content and loads of extra stuff over there, and early access to our videos. And also over on Facebook and Instagram, where we post several times weekly a bunch of fun, cool pictures of all of our animals. Every once in a while you'll see a cool picture that I post that I see some snakes. Like earlier today, I saw a baby garter snake while I was out on a walk this morning. Got some really cool pictures. So if you don't mind checking out, I got 2 videos right here. If you don't mind just clicking one of those videos, it helps me out a lot. So please go ahead and check out one of those videos. Keep watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, we're done.